As a family, my mother we had to go to shelters, to abuse shelters, things like that. And so we were able to talk to other women and families that were going through the same thing as we were. And the common denominator just seemed to be so much that, they didn't realize it. My name is Leguiya Jordan, and I am the president of Cali 303 Productions. The first 6 years, I was a jet engine mechanic. I worked on fighter engines, the F-110, GE F-110 engines. And then I worked as just like admin, I helped people when they deployed. I helped people when they did everything. My father is from Gary and my mother's from Waco, Texas. So they both just found each other and moved to Alaska.
Okay, so how does domestic violence work itself into your life?
It's very intimate for me because my father was abusive, and he was abusive to my mother. As a child, I dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of fears, a lot of phobias that I still deal with to this day, I think. My father came from a background where his father was abusive. So he would educate his children that once a year at least once a year you need to beat your wife, and it went down the lineage. And I know it sounds so crazy.
So it was a conscious decision to continue this every year.
I don't know how he felt about it. He died before I was able to actually speak to him on a level as an adult and understand what his perspective was. So my mom, she's a very learned, educated person, and I have so much respect for her. But again, I think that for the time that she grew up in and for the time that my father grew up in, it was more accepted and it was more prevalent. She is very strong, and she taught us all of us girls to be independent. They have 5 kids together, and most are girls. 4 girls, 1 boy. We have circumstances in our lives, and she was away from her family. She had her 5 children in Fairbanks, Alaska, all by herself, and the situation warranted that she stay. Without the support that we have nowadays, she was kind of stuck, is how she felt, is what she says to me, is she felt stuck. I think the scariest part is trying to recognize how we put ourselves in positions like these. What we end up recognizing is it has nothing to do with us at all. It has to do with the insecurities, the issues, the demons that another person is wrestling with, and how they inflict that upon you. We rationalize our trauma and we rationalize our pain. We're in the moment and in our heads and in a constant state of survival and trauma. It doesn't surface so clearly to us.
I realize that I'm probably never going to have closure the way that I need and the way that a lot of victims really need. And the only way that I was really going to be okay is if I understood what causes it. And knowing how I am, if I could do something about it. Unless you take the bull by the horns and really face it and really wrestle that bull to the ground, then there's really nothing that's going to be done with it. The thing I noticed was that we would have our core group in our group counseling, but every so often we'd get someone new in. So the one I was in on Mondays was mostly minorities, lower income. Whereas the one on Saturdays was mostly women, Caucasian, on the wealthier side. But what was interesting was that pretty much no matter what the socioeconomic status, the the bare bones of each and every situation was the same.
Yep.
Here we have a 19-year-old African-American young lady, a security guard with like 3 kids, and a 45-year-old stay-at-home uber wealthy lady, and they're both going through the same thing. And then the next week somebody else comes in, next week somebody else comes in, next week somebody else comes in telling the same story. I'm like, okay. I was starting to get mad because I'm like, there's something that's got to be done, that can be done to stop this.
To exclude anyone going through this, because it's traumatic and it's a very serious topic, and it needs to be addressed for everyone. Of men who experience it too, because the stigma is that it doesn't, I mean, or that it shouldn't, and that stigma is that men don't get abused, they don't feel it, but that's totally not true.
I feel like it's equally as important to give everyone who's experienced abuse the platform and the space to be able to express themselves, or just sit amongst others who have experienced what they've experienced. And but I feel like if they are given this space to be open about it, then they're much more likely to be vocal about it and band together and be helpful for their counterparts. Not only do they feel like emasculated because they've been abused in the first place, here, in order to get rid of it or deal with it, they have to be emasculated yet again by having to be vocal about it. So unless we provide a space for men to also feel comfortable enough to fight the generational, I guess, teachings that they've experienced, that it's not masculine to be expressive, then they're not going to, and it's just going to continue to perpetuate itself.
My son is 23 and my other son is 18, and all while they were growing up, I made sure I was very so protective of letting them be expressive, especially men. They, in a society like this, we really do not allow men the opportunity to express themselves in a meaningful way, i.e. tears and and traumas and issues. We don't allow that space because of this mythical stereotype that we have, that they are supposed to be superhuman in some way and not use the tears that God gave them, and not use the anchor that God gave them constructively, not be able to express themselves, and they have the same emotions as we do, but usually they have to be suppressed.
Like, I have a little 5-year-old running around, and I knew that going through the applying for elementary schools, I knew it was really important to me that I find a school that balanced education with art, with physical education and physicality, and also emotional intelligence, because I wanted him to be able to be worldly, be spiritual, be a great father, be a fantastic leader. And you can only do that if you are well balanced.
Absolutely.
And moving forward in the type of the world that we're in, you have to be able to meet people where they're at emotionally.
It gave me such an empowerment, and I think that I would encourage anyone who has gone through not only physical abuse or abuse, or violence, but any traumatic event that you've gone through in your life, please seek professional help. It is a help. There's so many things that I think that abused people take, and they carry and they hold on to, that's not necessary. And through counseling, it taught me to let it go. Leave that as someone else. Just because it happened to me didn't mean I did it or it's my fault. Now I need to figure out who I want to be because I now have that choice. We have to be okay with some things I don't know and I'm not going to have answers for. But that doesn't have to hinder my healing process.
Right. Counseling is more than just sitting down with a therapist. Counseling, it can change your heart, it changes your mind, it changes your mindset.
I recognize how she was asking those leading questions that made me answer in such a way that I recognized for myself what I needed instead of just having somebody tell me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when somebody tells you, you're kind of like, maybe you think you know me, but, you know, but if someone leads you to your own conclusion and then answer and then helps you get there healthy, then that's the best. So I really appreciate my doctor, and I encourage people to find one. And don't if you it might not be the right one in the beginning, but
yep, that's right.
You know, we have different personality types and that we, you know, work best with. So find that person for you and seek the help and get it. Yeah.
I guess, do you have any other advice for any men, women, teenagers, anyone that is either going through or is now out of it and is just lost?
You know, I would just say that it's okay to be selfish and it's okay to look inwardly. It's okay to take your own time, and it's okay to be and seek advice and just be selfish. Say for one moment, what I find a real common denominator is people just want to give and it becomes codependent instead of healthy. So, but their intent is just to give. Let me give this person what I think they need because they're lacking something, which is why they take it out on me. But be selfish. Say, what do I need? Am I getting what I need? And if you don't think you are, even if you have no idea how you're not getting it, if that makes any sense, or you're confused and you just don't know, take the time for yourself. Go to seek counseling. Figure out if that's who you are, and then figure out who you want to be. And through that, execute. Through those things. Prayer, friendships, counseling, community. All those things are going to help you to and create a well-balanced life in every aspect.